Alright, so today we're going to talk about something that I think is honestly one of the best features coming to 4.26, and it's going to enable developers to speed up remapping their controls and enable more players to play games, and it's just going to make everything a lot more accessible to everyone, which is just amazing in the end. And this is going to make it where on the developer side of things, to make button remapping and things like that that are normally reserved for higher end games or just take a lot of time for an indie developer like myself, just makes it where instead of having to go through all these systems, they kind of combined them and made them into this very universal little plug and play little thing. Right here is all I'm doing is how simple it can be depending on how you have your stuff set up. It's literally just a couple nodes, and this will add all the mapping you need to your game. And the nice thing is we can actually then remap it and do other things real time like you could before, but make it a lot easier where we don't have to have just, you know, tons of nodes or tons of code to remap something. It can literally just be 1, 2, done. Alright, so let's get started. So first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna go to plugins, and then we're gonna search enhanced. Oop, there it is. Enhanced input. And then you're gonna restart. Okay, once you've restarted, we're gonna go to project settings, scroll down until you see input. And by the way, even if you're not using the system, they've overall improved the system that we use to make action and access mapping. And you can just actually now just hit this button, hit any button, and it's assigned. No need to scroll through all this. It's pretty awesome. Nice little usability improvement there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to default classes, and then I want you to just change this to enhanced player input, enhanced player input component. Okay, that's telling the system, hey, use the new enhanced system. Okay, from there, we can just close that because we actually don't need to do any of the mapping inside project settings anymore. If you notice on my screen, I have these right here, and these are actually input actions. They're now just an actual file. So we can open one up, and you'll notice it's kind of the same settings that were there before, except we actually just have this setting right here that we're kind of gonna pretty much have to pay attention to, and that is what is the value type. So what is this map gonna offput, right? And it's actually pretty nice because it's actually giving more options, where like a bool or digital would be like an action mapping of on or off, and then a float would be like the normal scalar, you know, +1, -1 that you're used to. And then you can just modify it from there. You actually get the options of whether or not it should be consumed or whatever. Now, here's a new thing, and that is there's now modifiers and triggers. So what are those? They're some presets, and you can create your own, okay, do they have to tap this button, you know, or are we testing to see if they're holding it, and stuff like that. So like, and those preset settings of these ones are actually settable in project setting, enhanced input at the bottom under plugins. Okay, so now instead of you having to set up your own system to time button presses, doing all these things, it's built into the engine. It's just bam, there. It just lets you edit a lot of stuff that before it might have been, you know, tricky for an indie developer without looking into a million things. It just makes things easier overall, like whatever we want. So that handles this. So that's how you're gonna see mapping. Now, how do we, or sorry, not mappings, input actions. That is what an action now looks like. But how do we set the controls, right? Does it just work automatically? No, so we're gonna go new, input, and then input mapping context. So input actions there for any button you need. There you go. For mapping context though, this is what we're gonna need to set. So I have one set already, default controls. And all we're doing in this is what we normally would do in the project settings. Is we're taking these, because these don't have any buttons assigned to them. These are independent, right? Your action no longer has something automatically assigned. And we're assigning them. We're giving them context, as the name implies, right? So we're telling it, hey, when jump input for this specific control setting, this is what it's going to be preset to. So we can actually, what I've done here already is made more than one, and I have different settings to test out, okay, how to switch it over. And with that, we can now just, like any AAA game, have it where, okay, here's default settings, you know, here's inverted, here's whatever you want. It's this, you add context. So you add that context of what it's going to do to your player. Like this, and you can call this at any time. That's the great part. So what you'll see here is this is actually me clearing that to reset the controls mid-game. we can now change the context of this input, so that, let's say, instead of having a float value of 0 to 1, it's now giving us a float value of 0 to 100 or something like that, or it's giving us world location, or it's changing the FOV scale. We can do all that with this system now. So this is how you would reset it, or at least for now. But we can use something like this to be like, hey, check this context. Does it have this button, and does it have, and then check this key, and then we can actually check issues of like, hey, was this already taken? Was this, is this being used? Or force this to be used and make this be used instead. And it's all built into this. And then we can basically see the issues with each one, which I find really nice. So it's going to make making those widgets really easy. And I did see a widget in here as well that was basically like to add one key to, and it named itself under enhanced input. So I don't know if that's new, but I don't remember ever seeing a widget that could only have one key added. So I believe that was added for this as well. But so these are two things that I want to get more context on once the docs come out, or something else, or I'm just going to keep exploring them. All right, now for the fun part. So when you add these, if you are going to add them to your already existing game, you're going to have to take your old inputs and replace them. Thankfully, replacing them is super easy. So here's the old movement replaced with the input action, right? So to replace them, all I did was literally just in here, you type the same thing because I named them the same thing, right? You're now going to see enhanced action events. And so that's where you're going to get this enhanced input action. Is you'll just notice it, it appear, and you just then add it the same exact way. By default, triggered is the same as these normally just always calling, and then for this one it would be on begin, right? So like this, because it's an action event of jump, triggered gets called the same way that started does. So this is what excites me, is we can actually now have an action value that is given to us, but then also get the ongoing button. So like this is how we would do on hold. We can get a lot more information that before we'd have to actually, for each property, make our own little function to be like, okay, let's, or a timer, where it's like now you don't need a timer to see how many seconds something was pressed, but it just kind of unifies this system. To me, it's like, I'm excited because this simplifies everything that you're then doing, right? You want it to be where your jump's a tap, then you can just make it a tap, tap, tap. All right. Now with that said, I'm going to show just really fast this example right here, right? We're going to just switch, I'll even call it, so print, change inputs, right? We'll then make it where when I hit 2, on 2, we're going to do the same exact thing. So clearing, and then we're going to set it back to that original, right? So default controls. The engine kind of for a long time has had a lot of this stuff, in fact, all of it, but it's been spread across different areas. So it's really cool to just see this really universal system that is now in place, and we can actually use it. We can really use it pretty easily. And not only that, but also we can use it and have it actually just make it easier to create different events and functions off of things. Anyways, sorry that I kind of just went on rants and things like that. Honestly, I'm just very glad that Epic and the guys working on the Unreal Engine have added this. You use anything as an input, and you don't gotta worry. And yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully this helps you out. I hope to have the widget and stuff done by the time I upload this, but it might just get uploaded like this. I'm not sure. We'll see. I might have to cut all the parts before I mention uploading something. I'm normally really bad at that. Alright, anyways, that's it. It's over. It's done. Bye.